Crab. Less crab. Mega crab. Doltan! Terrell, get me a review of Spider-Man!
Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4 is absolutely amazing. This is the Spider-Man game we've been waiting for the longest time. The developers realize that everyone knows the origin story to Spider-Man. They know it's not worth their time to tell it again, and by jumping headfirst into the game is the proper way to do it. I'm so glad they did this. Giving themselves the freedom to establish a new story around well-developed and winning characters. Trust me when I say, they fucking won.
100%. I haven't had this much fun with a Spider-Man game in far too long. That being said, there hasn't been one that I hated, but there was always some kind of element that was missing. Whether it be a lackluster story or janky mechanics, but Insomniac hit a groove that made for a beautiful game.
This game feels more like an amazing Marvel Cinematic Spider-Man film, starting with Peter just waking up into another day of Spider-Man, jumping into action to take on another baddie in the most badass tutorial to date. Don't at me. Waking up with the news that it's time to go fight Wilson Fisk, Spidey is so ready to go he even yeets himself out the window. See you, Spidey. Don't forget to eat your toast, okay? After that, it's all up to you, the player. It's time to start swinging towards Fisk Tower. This tutorial is incredible and perfectly teaches you everything you need to know to swing and fight all the enemies for the rest of the game. After that, it pretty much just says, hey, there's New York. Go. Never in my life have I been grabbed by a game so quickly.
From there, the story just takes off and it doesn't stop. You pursue an assortment of Spidey's rogues gallery, each with their own interesting missions connected to them. I think the best thing with the story is that I really feel like I got my money's worth out of it. There were points when I was just kind of thinking, alright, I've been playing for a while, I'm probably really close to the end of the game, and then the game just gets more and more intense and I realize that I'm not even close yet.
As I think about it, I do have one flaw with the main story of the game. In the act of trying to add good pacing to the story, they placed missions where you play as MJ and Miles in a stealth-like scenario. Considering that the pacing is kinda set by the player and not everyone's just gonna go mission to mission to mission to mission, this tends to take the game and grind it to a complete halt.
I gotta agree, it does bring a bit of a halt to the pacing, but I honestly enjoyed the MJ and Miles levels. I had fun sneaking around with their different skill sets, and the standout level of all of them was one where MJ and Spidey team up and work together in Grand Central Station. I think it added a lot to the story as well as their relationship.
And speaking of their relationship, the developers got so much about the characters right. The balance struck between Peter and Spider-Man is absolutely perfect. Spider-Man throws out jokes at every opportunity, and then Peter serves as a bit more mild-mannered alter ego to Spider-Man. The tried and true mantra of "with great power comes great responsibility" plays a strong theme throughout the entire game, especially in one moment where Spider-Man has to make a difficult decision that hurts Peter because he knows he has to.
Mary Jane is one of the greatest characters in the game. She has her own motivations for popping in and out of the story whenever she needs to, and she isn't having any of Spidey's crap. And her missions take her into just crazy and dangerous areas, but she's brave, confident, and so damn inspiring in the game. And also, she's a journalist, so that's just kind of extra points for me. Miles is a character brought into the game by unfortunate circumstances, but once he's in the story, he's a delight to have around. He's there to help Aunt May when Peter isn't, and then when Spider-Man needs him, he's more than happy to jump in and help. There were a lot of cool moments between Miles and Peter, both in and out of the suit, and I'm more than excited to see where their relationship goes in future DLCs and hopefully sequels.
Finally, we have Mr. Negative. He's one of the more interesting villains I've seen in a Spider-Man game in a long time. His motivations, when you learn of them, aren't justified, but they make sense. He's doing what he feels is right when he feels like he's been wronged. That's a pretty simple plot, I know, but on top of that, he's powerful and his power poses a serious threat throughout the entire game. The gameplay is very easy to pick up, and I would say just as easy to master. Insomniac did a great job of making a great feeling game with easy to pick up controls. As you progress through the game, it is easy to pick up chaining together jumps and swings and just breeze through the map. There's never a reason needed to use the fast travel system in my opinion. I never really had any complaints with the gameplay of Spider-Man. The developers just make everything super satisfying. Every action, everything you can do, just super satisfying. I can't tell you how many times I just booted up the game and went through the city swinging around with no real reason other than I would like to de-stress from a long day at school or work. Also, being able to walk around your adoring public helps a lot too.
There are a lot of options for side quests in the game. They range from massive combat encounters to pigeon catching.
Oh yeah.
Each of them have something to enjoy. Like in the pigeon quest, you always get to talk to the man who asked you to catch them, and he's one of the most wholesome people in all of New York. But the only mission that I wasn't a huge fan of were the research stations. They were interesting from a narrative standpoint, and it gave Harry Osborn the chance to be in the game to more flesh out his relationship with Peter and MJ, but they were honestly a bit boring and tedious at points. There's a point where Spider-Man is spreading medicine to pigeons and fish, which is good and shows his love and compassion for New York, but did it really have to be there? But with the tokens earned from the side missions, you get the best unlockables in the game. So many alternate costumes. There are so many here, ranging from classic looks to looks far-flung in the future, and each of them just look so good while swinging through New York, and each of them have their own suit abilities that are just so damn handy in combat. The combat in the game does seem to take a couple cues from the Arkham series, but that's not a bad thing. It's a great system that works, and with the added fun of web shooters, combat is still varied enough to the point where it's still incredibly fun. The only enemy type that really kinda sucks with the combat system are the brutes, who don't care about the combat system. They're assholes. Fuck you, brutes.
Hey James, are you still watching? I hope so, because it's that time of the video again. It's time for graphics. That's right, James, it's time. Your favorite time of my videos. Here we go. I can only sum up this game's graphics with one line from our old buddy JonTron.
Magazine have been like, holy shit, them graphics!
This is just the icing on the perfect gameplay cake. At all times you feel like you're in downtown New York. It's breathtaking the first time you see it. And the game even has a look all its own. It was amazing to play this for the first night on stream, and I thought right then and there that everything looked amazing. The buildings, the suits, the water, the characters in the cutscenes, just astonishing. I took my PlayStation into work after release. I had people coming into the room asking me if this was the new Spider-Man game. They could tell from over 50 feet away. Everyone loved it, to say the least. And I think that just shows how good this game really looks. From 50 feet away, people are like, that's the Spider-Man game. And I just think that's awesome. So as I was finishing up this video, I realized we didn't have a rating system. So me and Doltan talked it out, and we came up with this one. So the order is as follows. Ignore it, rent it, borrow it, buy it, and buy it all. These are so you just have a kind of idea of where you should go about with spending your money on this game. The reason why rent is below borrow, as this might be kind of confusing, is because when you're borrowing the game, you might be borrowing it for longer, but with renting, it's short enough to where it's worth maybe the $1 you're going to rent it for, but not much else. That's kind of our thought process. In case you were wondering, so that's how it's going to be for my reviews going here on out. So I want to thank you guys, and back to the regularly scheduled ending. Yeah. So this time here on That Game Review Show, I'm going to have to give this game the rating of buy it all. Absolutely, just hands down. I loved this game. It was amazing. I enjoyed every minute of it. I still can't get enough of it. I'm going to be buying any DLC that comes out for it, and I highly encourage you to do the same thing. It'll be well worth your money. This game is well worth your time, and I just cannot recommend it any more than I possibly already have. It is so worth it. What do you think, Doltan?
Insomniac has never made a game that I haven't enjoyed, and this is no exception. There were so many times playing through this game that I got taken back to when I was a 5-year-old playing Spider-Man on the PS1, and there were just so many moments where I was just giddy with excitement, just so happy to be swinging around New York and just helping out people. So ultimately, I have to give this game my recommendation of buy it all.
I want to thank you guys for watching another video here on That Game Review Show. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like, the subscribe, the bell, all of that stuff. It helps us out a ton. Absolutely enjoyed making this video over with Doltan Lanik over at Funky Shepherd Productions. You can go check them out in a link below and right there on the... I'll find a place for it. It's not our logo. He is responsible for our logo, so I cannot thank him enough for all this. And buddy, let's do this again sometime. And I will see you all later.